everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. It's just Growth Babe with Zetuzwane, which is an extension of my blog post, Black Culture Health and Wellness Lifestyle, and my podcast, Growth Opportunities with Zetuzwane. Thank you for tuning in to another episode. This particular episode, it started off with the podcast. I have over 299 views on that podcast, and as you guys will know, it inspired me to then just extend that conversation all the way across my social media, on my blog posts and on my social media. As you guys, if you have been following me from the beginning, you will know that I always say that, you know what, God is not your leader, God is not your family, God is not your community leaders, the politicians that we see, or let's say the favorites, favoritism. He doesn't have favorites. And let me tell you, okay, let me just say briefly, I do think that I want people to go on their own exploration, and you'll get to see this on this episode right here, because I started off wild, honey child, wow, because I just wanted the digested version of God, maybe just to hear it from other people, that their version of God. I wasn't aware, or I didn't try to explore my own versions of who He is. So when I finally did, you get to that part, I think a lot of people, when you get to read in the Bible, and I definitely encourage you guys to do that, and you'll hear in this podcast episode on exactly why reading the Bible is linked to understanding why He's not like your community members, is because you'll realize that we treat Him like, our community. We'll treat Him like these days, maybe like the rich dad we never had, for example. Because in the beginning, when you realize His faithfulness, and you actually like get a taste of your testimony in terms of like He's always faithful, He keeps His promises, there's a point where you're gonna treat Him like a genie, and you think you're just rubbing all the time. And what is so sweet and so tender at that moment is that He knows that you are still growing, maybe let's say with your wherever your journey is, and you see it in this video, you hear it in this episode today, that whatever your journey is, He knows how far to take you and how long you need to go. But then there's gonna be a turning point where you gotta grow, and you wanna throw an emotional tantrum, and stay in your bed and nuclear bomb this out of your anxiety. You're getting easily anxious. You feel like you haven't grown, but you've overcome those emotions, like you've overcome depression, you've overcome anxiety, but you feel it's a new challenge. He's upgraded you to a new place, and then you go through that icky feeling again. You'd experience that icky feeling again, where you just want to throw an emotional tantrum. I call it a journey, where you are co-driving the journey, in the sense that, speak up. We talk about, you'll see in the video later on in my podcast episode, in my blog post episode, where I say, sometimes situations don't change because you don't speak up. So He wants to give you that courage to be confident. And a lot of us grow up in areas maybe because we think institutionally we can't speak up, so we have to keep quiet. Maybe, geographically, I always said that, Christianity, I've realized, is a geographical thing. If you come from a conservative country like my country or my region, or when I was in the Bible Belt like Oklahoma, hey, you feel like, okay, then you cannot speak up in those areas because maybe the environment makes it so. And so God will put you in that area where you are going to speak up, and then you're gonna throw an emotional tantrum because you're like, who said we're growing? And I just want to encourage you guys to realize at that moment that, sometimes we hold on to the storyline of, struggling to speak up, the storyline of our anxieties, the storyline of our depressions, and the storyline of our struggles, as opposed to like living brave and going through that breakthrough because God has given you that one. And then when you progress, and I hope y'all should listen to the video, and I hope you listen to it all the way to the end and let me know what you think, because when you progress, and I am so excited for this journey. You can't be 299 people can't be listening to this podcast episode and then to my podcast episode in my growth opportunities podcast, and y'all don't even realize that see something fruitful from it. And I hope that there's something that's fruitful from it. I hope it motivates you, because if you allow yourself to just, wriggle out of that storyline that you're giving yourself, that you keep writing when you wake up in the morning, that you keep walking and telling yourself, that narrative that you have in your mindset, if you allow yourself to progress through out of that one, you realize that you are grown. But let me tell you something. I don't know who I'm talking to, because you might be in graduation school where you're telling yourself that storyline and you've already overcome what God has put you through. Or you might be at the point where you're just realizing his promises, and that's where you've got to live brave. So this episode is all about living brave enough to break through that fear, brave enough to break through that narrative. Sometimes that narrative is the biggest thing that's holding a lot of us back, because it's familiar. You know what I'm saying? You know that shady phone that everybody has, like that one person has, because no matter if they throw it over the 5-story building, that thing will last. It's going to be there for life. That narrative has been there for life, and it has lost it. It has kept you out of rejection. It has kept you out of fear. If people knock you down for your boundaries, when you want to assert your emotional boundaries, that you cannot talk to me like this, because I know when I have these boundaries, it means that my anxieties don't spike up, my fears don't spike up, my loneliness doesn't spike up. And so it requires a lot of breaking to do. And then that's when you realize, God, the persistency of God. But you know what I really love about those journeys is that a lot of times, and I really loved what was it Sarah Jakes, T.D. Jakes' daughter, said, is that we have you will see the opposing cultures, the God culture and then the world culture, in the sense that, people are saying clap back, God will clap back to me. There is nothing like that. And I'm going to hold that story for another day, because we all go through that moment where God has been glorious, he's beautiful, and he keeps blessing you when you stay faithful to just allow yourself to be broken in the process. And broken in the sense that breaking free from traumatic beliefs that you took on to make sense of what was going on in your life. There's a lot of things that is going on in our worlds that our parents are not seeing. You have hidden stories and narratives that only God sees, and he deals with those ones. And so when you break free with those ones, I feel like this is, like the terrible twos, like a toddler, they go through what they believe. Mine, Jesus is only mine. I cannot wait for you guys to go through that. And I feel like it's okay to go through that, because it's understanding that, it's finally allowing your veils of your eyes to be seen, which I will be discussing in this podcast, in this YouTube episode, allowing the veils of your eyes to be opened up, to see that God is faithful no matter what. But he's the most loving parent, because he's doing it to release you of the emotional parts of the emotional areas that will limit not only just you, but the generation and the piece of the puzzle, the piece of the kingdom that he's consistently weaving. And if you allow yourself to be broken, if you allow yourself to break free from that traumatic, that toxic belief, those toxic relationship beliefs, y'all should go and listen to that podcast episode and read that blog post. You will realize the glory of his kingdom if you just allow yourself to then understand that God is not your parents, God is not your family, God is not your leaders, God is not the national, God is not politicians. God is God. He was there before the kingdom, he was there before mankind. And so I'm so excited for you guys to hear this episode. If you do like this episode, do comment. Don't forget to subscribe. But I would love you guys to also comment, because I am not here just to talk to myself by myself. I would love to hear your opinions. I'd love to hear your views and just your understandings of, what do we struggle? What is the biggest reason maybe why we struggle breaking free from our anxieties, breaking free from the narratives? Is it really the people that we surround ourselves with? Because there could be a season where God surrounds you with a lot of toxic people to build you up, and then there would be a season where he's shaking a lot of people away, and you're like, hold on a second, excuse me, can we please who said we are breaking free from these people? And he always has a plan, and his plan is always good for you. So, but I would love to know, what are your reasons behind maybe God? Were you like myself, where you've focus maybe more of the geographical part of it. You just understood it from the geographical part and didn't get a real sense. Maybe they got the fearful God. And in this episode, I also do talk about the money God, which is not the case. He's there to deal with the emotional part of us, break the emotional traumas, break these issues like mental health problems that are very deeply rooted in chains, generational chains. He's there for those very keen things. But yes, and then obviously, of course, because this podcast episode is a key part that I'd love to do full time, I am an affiliate marketer. So if you do go to any of my links and my social media pages, like my Pinterest page or my blog posts, there are some blog pages with affiliate links to them. Of course, I do get a small commission for my athleisure wear and for my scented candles, which are absolutely fabulous for your bedroom. All the top yummy flavors, just to help you decompress emotionally and just to let go of the day and then start anew. And I do also have a lot of like other goodies out there, so definitely check them out. I will be posting the links at the bottom. But for now, let's get into it. Just growth babe vibes. I did an episode just on does God still heal? And I've had a series of conversations to myself because I've been trying to figure out how to piece these conversations so that I can share them with you lots and give you the best and most constructive and most fulfilling and full that will feed your souls, feed your spirits, help your hearts rest, give you motivation, give you hope, give you faith, help you understand in different perspectives. So just like a few updates, I was so excited. My American moms dropped an email. I was so excited when they emailed me this week. And I said to them, you know what, God has truly blessed the work that you are doing. You are truly blessed. Your generation is truly blessed for the work that you're doing. Because they took a cynical young adult like myself who didn't quite understand when people used to say like, I would sit in the class and pray if this was the right class for me, and if I was directed to move, I moved. I didn't quite understand what they meant by that one up until my transformation and everything that I went through here. It all came into play, and it just made a lot of sense once I started, I hit, as like you guys know, I hit my third bush, I hit my third wall, I hit the fourth forest. I was bashing through a forest only to come out on the wrong end, and I was so sick and tired of it. So then I wanted to figure out, okay, let's understand, God, let's understand what you are talking about. Let me see what on earth these human beings have been talking about. And the one thing that I want to say to you, just in continuation from that last podcast episode, does God still heal? I believe that he does heal. And I believe what a lot of lessons, what a lot of, motivational speakers, what a lot of pastors have been saying is so true. It's so true to nature in the sense that God heals, but you have got to be willing to be broken, and you have got to be willing to grow. Being broken, of course, is dealing with emotional beliefs that you made up just to make sense of the world at the time that you didn't understand why this was happening to you. It's so much easier to say that, well, people don't like me, people don't understand me, as opposed to truly confronting yourself and saying, you know what, guess what, I'm not that perfect myself. Just FYI warning, we have this really amazing Belgian dog over here. It likes to scream. So it's saying hello, my neighbor's dog, but yeah, just in case it starts barking. But people like to say, you know what, like I said, have messy conversations. Don't have more messy conversations, because if you are going to negate your responsibility yourself, it's not being responsible to other people. Think of it as you being responsible to yourself. If I'm willing to say, you know what, I'm selfish with my time, I'm selfish. Whenever I want to go out and my friends don't want to go out, I am responding to them from my perspective. When I refuse to go out, it is okay. If they refuse to go out, it is not okay. Similarly, if you, let's say, for example, and I encourage anybody, let's say there's a mass exodus, for example, of let's say max exodus of leaving the workplace. I say don't rush, because what the beauty of asking God, let's say, what is my purpose, like what is my direction, please help me. Let me take these tips that these Christian people have been saying, and clearly they seem to be working for them, because they are hella peaceful, like nobody's business that I've ever seen in my whole entire life. And if you read my blog post from recently, when I said the one that's titled "Watching the World Go Scarlet Red," I sat across a man and watched. I was sitting in our car and heard a foreign voice threatening to bomb our car, and the peace that covered me even before those months, the peace that covered me even before those times, is so much. It's far related to practicing over time the spirit, having the spirit of God. Because, like I said before, when I started asking these questions, and these are the right questions to be asking, because maybe we have vegetable Christianity. I love Bible projects. See, guys, you have to watch those people. We've been having VeggieTales of Christianity, where things are given to us, and then in some parts it makes us lazy to even pray. In some parts it makes us lazy to even have those conversations and have those deep, sincere conversations with God. So I didn't understand what people meant when they said that you need to pray for your own breakthrough. You can't be paying $7,000 for a man to give you your breakthrough, because that man is lying to you. First of all, that's a lie. If a woman was able to hold onto a string to end 20 years of bleeding, then what on earth are you doing paying for $20,000? What are you doing paying for $7,000 for somebody to bless you, for somebody to break free what you are supposed to be doing? If you read my other blog post, about a man called Jay, what are you doing watching a man called Jay building holes to trap you? What are you doing watching a man called Jay? You were not assigned to let go. You were not assigned to break his stronghold. You were not assigned to release his chains. You were not assigned to watch him build that 20,000 hole to trap you. You were assigned and called by God. If you understand what I mean by that one, you understand that God heals, but you've got to understand what He's calling you to. And it's going to be different for everybody. And that's why I wrote those two articles. The first one, when I wrote that, God gave me the spirit of peace in the middle of watching a man threaten to bomb the car. It was the spirit of peace in the sense that it already been there. He'd already been calling me. And if you guys understand, like the cynical girl, when I told my church moms, I was saying that at the time it was because 2 Timothy verse 1:17, haven't I called you to be strong and courageous? That thought just kept on popping up, and I was like, who the hell is strong and courageous? Whose thoughts are these? Like the cynical response, obviously, because obviously I hadn't been reading the Bible. I don't know who, what do you mean strong and courageous? And it was very random, because first of all, I'm in a coffee shop, drinking strong and courageous. Do you mean strong and courageous in the gym? Yeah, I have been lazy. I haven't been lifting as much as I should. I think that's what they mean by strong and courageous, only to find out when I finally on the third month being like, okay, what the heck is going on? What is the strong and courageous? It meant that in the be strong and courageous where you are. Be strong and courageous. You are called to it. And if you're somebody like me who's impatient, you want answers now, you want answers everything, God will work with you at your own time. What I love about the beauty of taking God on your own journey. Don't be paying nobody to pray for you. Don't be paying nobody to make the breakthroughs for you. Pray, talk, journal up until and allow God to teach you how to pray, and allow God to teach you how to converse and move closer to Him, so that He can guide you in the way that you will most understand. And I say that because when I heard the strong and courageous, it didn't make sense to me. I was given that message 3 years ago, but it only made sense to me this year in the midst of calamity. And you know why? Because in the midst of calamity, let's say for example, there's so many you're going to experience so many victories that are secret. And the reason why I encourage you to look within yourself, to have those mystic conversations, to have those personal conversations with God, in the sense of have that personal conversation and pray according to what you want. What am I doing wrong? Open my eyes, open the veils to my eyes. Help me see what I cannot see. Help my heart to see what I cannot see. The reason why I said that, or the reason why I encourage you guys to say that, is because He is only going to able to reveal to you a lot of things where you will realize in life that you're going to be experiencing secretly, victoriously, inner testimonies where humanly you are losing. Humanly it looks like calamity. Humanly it looks like destruction. Humanly, it looks like it's the end. Like we are panicking. The world is frustrating all the time. It feels like I am suffocating. I am drowning in depths of oceans. But that's not really, because in the same time, God says that He won't take you into deep waters, not to not to harm you, but it'll take you to deep waters to cleanse you. If you have an issues of impatience, trust me when I say that, allow Him to work in the little things in terms of like your friends. Allow Him to work in the little things in terms of with strangers. Allow Him to work in the little things in terms of your workplace. Allow Him to work in the little things in terms of your family, because they'll make sense. They'll begin to make sense when He starts weaving the picture with you, and when He starts showing you as your Jehovah Adonai, as your Jehovah, your master, your father. When He starts showing you the picture that He has for your life. When He starts working through those beliefs that were not making sense, and then you created them just to try and make sense of what was happening, just to try and make sense of the anxiety, just to try and make sense of the rejection, just to try and make sense of the abandonment. It'll start to make sense why you have to break free from those ones. And a lot of us, let's be real, we're not raised in families where maybe confrontation. You have some families that are timid, and I love them. They have a position in their lives. You know, when I think of my church moms, when I think of one lady, and I have like this amazing, awesome story, just to like link to like the racism. And I don't like to talk about the racism. I had to talk about the racism one only to mention to you that, you know what, when you choose one emotion, you are anchoring anchoring a stronghold for the devil to use everywhere, because racism is not hatred. Let's look at the core thing of racism. It's fear and hatred. And if you magnify those two fears because of allowing one individual to tell you where you exist and where not to exist, it'll magnify in other areas of your life. Other powers when you want to graduate, other powers when you want to, go and talk to your crush. Let's simplify it. You want to go talk to your crush. Fear and rejection, fear and the idea of you're hated. Maybe self-hatred will inflict you more on that situation. So don't ever allow these other small things to dictate your life and everything like that. But the point is, what I wanted to say is, allow God to make a place in your life. Allow God to answer you. Allow God to be the one to answer the direction in your life. Allow God to be the one to maneuver you in your life. Because in the midst when I was sitting in that car, I felt absolute peace. In the midst when it felt like the world was on fire, I was at absolute peace. And sometimes it is maybe in that hour it's your appointed hour, but you've been prepared if you allow Him to prepare you. And being prepared, it means that you have to go through the fire. And I really love, like when I was listening to the story of Daniel, and it really made sense to me in the sense that, like when you are going through the fire, you are really not being burnt. Your job is not to understand what is in the fire, the scary idea of what happens when people go into the fire, what's going to happen to me, how long do I have to be in the situation where I feel pressed, I feel uncomfortable, I'm depressed, I'm miserable. Your responsibility is to begin, God, I feel resentment, help me to deal with resentment. If that week you feel resentment, help me to deal with resentment, because you are washing, you're cleansing. Your only goal there is to cleanse yourself out of those emotions. If you feel like, God, I feel anxious, help me deal with those anxieties. Your role there is to declare that you are free of those anxieties. If you feel like, God, okay, in this lesson that you've just thrown me into, okay, I feel very impatient. It feels like I'm here again, and that's okay, because like I love who's this T.D. Jake's daughter. She says, like we are so scared of starting over again, because like I come from a very conservative country, and they beat the life out of kids, and I hate that. So when I started my business is to continue that narrative, like stop beating your kids, because if you beat your kids, you're imprisoning them. And then when they are adults, they didn't graduate from just university, they graduated into self-imprisonment, repressed emotions and all those things. Stop beating your kids. Let us normalize failure and starting afresh and starting anew, because God, when He breaks you, that means you have to start anew a lot of things. If you was selfish, unforgiving, that means what? You have to be broken to start anew and be unselfish and let go. If you have been rejected continuously and abandoned continuously and live with anxiety and fear and social anxiety and not understanding why am I never accepted by individuals, God will take you to a place where you have to be broken so that you can start over. So in those moments when you feel like the fire is too hot, and I feel like in great anxiety and great fear and great pain towards it, that's the moment that you need to start switching those conversations and direct them to God. God, I feel pain, but I'm underneath His wing. You need to start reading the Bible, understand, and then read those Bibles to the collection of pain. When I started feeling my anxieties, every time the names of God kept on popping up. He's my Jehovah Jireh. I shall not want, because my God is there for me. He will provide all of my needs. He is my Lord, the Lord of the heaven armies. He is there. He's my banner. He will protect me in every situation, even in the small things where I feel social anxiety. Those are really crucial moments for you, because they are places that you have been called to be. We all have a place where we are called to be, and we either is to pass on to our next generation, and so on that spirit of loving, and so on that spirit of giving, and so on the spirit of lamb. So what I really appreciated about my church moms is, like, you know what, they have a place in their lives. What I appreciated meeting that little girl again, that little white girl again that I grew up with, is that they have a place in their lives. She's a timid girl. She says sorry too much, but she doesn't understand. To me, the girl who just was born as a, as a crazy little 2-year-old that people didn't want to, babysit, because I had so much energy. I was strong arming. Like, I used to break open the doors if you lock me, what you call this thing where you put a kid and you say, you've been naughty, so you go and sit there. There was nothing like that to me. I was, very defiant and very brave and strong little kid. They are actually those are very influential people. All of you have a place in your life. Don't ever look at your timid nature and think that there's nothing for you, that you cannot contribute anything to, because it takes some individuals like myself where we look at you and we feel like, oh my goodness, this person here, you never know how that individual, that small little timid girl, she helped she planted a dream inside me that was a whisper from God, and then now it's only making sense today. Those church moms, they kept on coming, when I wasn't understanding who the heck Jesus was, when I'm not understanding why y'all praying about why y'all goal setting according to prayers, and they just kept on coming back. They kept on giving me the word. They kept on flooding the word. They kept on giving me the restoration. They kept on giving me the word. They kept on encouraging me that you do not have to pay 7,000. You do not have to pay 20,000 for a prayer. You have authority, and the authority comes through your mouth, because whatever you speak through your mouth, you are breathing life and death through it. And so believe whenever you are being transformed in these situations of uncertainty, in these situations of feelings of calamity where we are uncertain of where the world is going, believe that God still heals. But understand that it is your role also to start with the small things. I'm selfish with food. I'm selfish with drinks. Share your food with somebody. Start small, because if you cannot start small, how are you going to get there when you want to get big? And the reason why the thing is, what I still believe today is, what, a lot of people have been blessed, a lot of successful people have been blessed, but do you want to be blessed, emotionally caged, and die imprisoned because you have not released yourself of selfishness, you have not released yourself of unforgiving? Or do you want to die free? Do you want to live blessed and knowing that God still fulfills the things that you have asked for, believing in His faith, going and propelling in the direction that He's given you, but understanding that, I want to be free? It feels like in this space where every day there's a new variant. Every day it feels like it is a magnified breaking news disaster. The more I hear, the more I live in those spaces, the more I want to be emotionally free. And the only way that I've started to realize is that, number one, is first of all, understand the names of God and start to call on them whenever you feel to a certain thing. Start with something dumb and small, like your acne. Girl, some of those acne things, they stay there like they're hosting a house party. They're not even paying your bills. They're not gonna pay rent to your house, to your face. They're not gonna pay for that face wash that you have to do. They're not gonna pay for that 400 rand dermatologist that you have to go pay for. You know what I'm saying? They don't pay none of that. Start small with that one and let His revelations reveal to you. Maybe you are overeating, maybe you're binge eating, so hormonally your body is not stable. But God will only speak to you about the stableness of your emotions, and then you'll begin to understand how those replicate and how those reflect and then mirror and then ripple, how it causes a ripple effect into other areas of your life. But you've got to allow yourself to be broken. Allow yourself to be broken, and the only way that I see that is because that's the only way that God can heal you. Is because that's the only way that God can heal you. Gold, you are golden, baby girl. You are golden, baby boy, golden old lady, church moms out there, church ladies out there, stranger out there, whatever religion that out there, you are golden. And the only way that something so precious has ever been reformed and refined and truly shown its beauty was going through that pressure, going through that fire, going through the force and the pressure and the direction and the molding. And the only way that you can do that is by taking that, my family, your family, whoever's family, whatever sense it is, they don't know everything. And that's okay. It was not their job to know everything. But what I do know is that I have a God who can help me establish, who can establish his plans within me. And that calls for you to understand that a lot of the times I felt as though a lot of the times I failed a lot of the times. Humanly, I failed a lot of the times. But emotionally and godly, I conquered. And I only wish and pray. I only pray for that for you guys. That you guys can realize that in a lot of situations that we cannot fix the human part of it, but there's a true God victory to a lot of things that you can take hold of if only you take the opportunity to understand, yes, indeed, God still heals. But are you brave enough? I'm encouraging you. I'm asking you, be brave enough. Be brave enough to cry. Be brave enough to sit there for 6 months. You're in your underwear, just being like, no, Jesus, I'm throwing an emotional tantrum. I'm not getting on this road anymore. No, to be honest, I've been rejected for the 10th billionth time by these people. And who the hell is Jay building a 60,000 rand hole? How was Jay sitting there at the corner crying that he doesn't have money, he doesn't have this, and why does she deserve her blessing? But then he managed to get a 60,000 rand hole, and he decided to build the hole as opposed to going and doing something. Build a hole to trap you in it and make sure that you fall in it, as opposed to that one. I want you to understand. Go and read those stories so that you understand. You were not assigned to watch Jay. You are not assigned to watch Jay's stronghold. You are not assigned to clear Jay's chains. You are assigned to release your chains. If it is not his appointed hour because he has not either asked or he is having his own emotional tantrum, don't be looking at Jay and wondering why he got money. Because Jay has managed to get money, but he is still blind. He's still emotionally caged. It is not your job to go and fix Jay's. You were not assigned that one. It's not his appointed hour, but it is your appointed hour. And the only way that you will find and figure out your appointed hour is beginning to pray in that direction of, God, heal me today. God, you know what? I'm impatient. We know it. And then you look at it. I do this thing where I feel like I'm looking at him like, yeah, I'm a snob. I'll see you on Sunday. And then, but I've learned, don't sit there too long being a snob, because I actually, like, it catches you. For me, for God, what's been really interesting is when I've gotten over being a snob, let's say, for example, and I'm a humble person, I'm really nice. I don't know why he gives me the worst, saddest encounter where I feel like, oh yeah, the past me would have been really horrible here at this moment, but now, wow, I'm really sorry, man. And then I just feel like, but it's over. And it's not that all the time that God gives you that encounter. It's sometimes the devil's giving you that encounter to make you feel guilty. Oh, well, you're a snob still. You're still a snob. And it's like, no, you're not. But you're only going to be able to free yourself if you allow yourself to go through the fire. And I encourage everybody, go read Daniel. Go read every book in the dictionary. Go read every book in the Bible, and so that you may understand that, in every situation, every circumstance, it was never God's intention to ever drown you, to kill you, and magnify you. From the beginning, he wanted you to be like him. So how can a father who wants you to be like him? Thessalonians is full of the character of God. How can you want you to be like him? And then he loses you in the midst of all these uncertainties. He loses you only in 2022. Technology can advance. People are out here talking about the meta-universe. That's fine. That's okay. But there is no one else like God. And for the direction where the world is going, where I even ask myself, with all these robotic, all these technological changes, what are we doing to safeguard the security of the world when there's a housing crisis, when there's a food crisis? There's been a drought for 2 years in certain countries. God has that sorted. Everybody has been given a place. And if we begin to just all know the names of God, if we begin to know who the King of all the heavens armies is, I trust and I believe that we will see, that he has a plan for everybody. But it just requires us all to believe in his faith, to believe even in the midst of calamity, to believe even when you've been placed in the fire, that I will not be burnt here, that I will not be turned around. Have you heard like such a cool song? I love it. No mountain can stop you, because he knows your name. Oh, okay. So anyway, I'm going to leave because my puppies are going crazy. Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. My name is Zwane again, and I just want to let you know that from the previous podcast, if you believe God if you're still questioning, does God heal? Know that He heals. But you've got to be brave. Even if you're brave in your underwear crying and dragging your feet through the growth, at some certain point, do it. You want to rest, go rest. Because he provides that one. He has a provision for it. But you've got to ask Him and take the time to learn the voices of God. Be patient with learning the voices of God, because the world out there is deep, it's complex, it's beautiful, it's magnified, it's mysterious, it's known, it's unknown, and it's for you. All of it is for you. The whole plan was meant for you. Everything for you and to glorify His name. So I just say, take your time, y'all, and I hope there's one cynical girl out there who's gonna write to her church moms, her American moms, and tell them how great and how amazing they were for their patience, and that truly God has blessed them. For the timid ladies are like, why do they talk so quiet? Like, what is going on? To all those people, they truly, they have a place. Just give them the patience, roll your eyes at it, and just keep praying that God will reveal to you. And know that, like all these ladies, just because, for example, like me, just because they left the United States or whatever, they never stopped praying. The prayer was still there. So that means that the revelation was still there. But God already knew, like He said, He already knew you before you were even born. So it just means that, keep that in your heart. Keep those kind of verses in your heart, because then that means that if you already knew me before I was already born, that means that I let the noise of the humanness of my experience become too loud to understand that the godliness of my victories, how powerful are the victories of my godly moments. And I take those in, I tell you, I take those in. Even on the worst day at work, even on the worst day, whatever the case is, relational wise, I take those godly moments, because they remind me, if I understood their assignment, and I started to understand the assignment, I was patient to the revelation, I take them. And so I hope this is encouraging to anybody who just is feeling that emotional exhaustion. Go sit in your underwear, girl, boy, Mr., ma'am, whoever you are, go sit in your underwear, throw a tantrum, but get back up, girl, get back up and live a life of breakthroughs. And thank you so much. My name is Letizwane. This is, again, I was just a reflection. If you want the whole stories, the stories are whole there. The stories of Jay, what is this 60,000 hole he's building? The story is there. And I hope that the story is encouraging, and I hope the story of watching the globe on fire and feeling a wholeness and unmoving fortitude, peace. I hope that you may also experience that one. And I do hope that you will start to begin to hear the names of, hear the voice of God, because that is truly the mystery. That is the beauty, I feel like, of our experiences, is truly hearing Him and then truly living with Him on an everyday basis. And I am so excited, and I can't wait for you to live that life of breakthroughs with me. Thank you so much again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful growth opportunity wherever you may be. Again, don't forget to comment below and subscribe and share with your friends, and let me know your thoughts again on what it is to live a life of breakthroughs.